amazing friend who does stand-up comedy. And this guy is hilarious. And so I hit him up on his phone, and it was more last minute than I would like to admit. And I just said, bro, hey, we're thinking about we want an opener for Alpha, and would you consider doing some stand-up for us? And praise the Lord, he said yes. And so so that was his first response. He said, yes, I'll do it. And then his next response was, do you want me to send you a rough draft so you can look it over and approve the jokes I'm going to be telling? Or do you trust me to be clean enough for church? He said. And I said, do not send it to me, because one, I want to just experience the jokes for myself when they're told from my seat, and two, I want to absolve myself of all responsibility and liability. So I have not pre-screened these. So if anything goes sideways, it wasn't me. But would you guys do me a favor and welcome to the stage my good friend Brandon?
Everybody, thank you for having me. This never gets any easier, whether it's in a bar of like 6 people or a crowd of like nearly 200. So thank you everybody for being here. Dylan, thanks for the great heads up. You called me Thursday. So I'm coming prepared, guns loaded, so strap in. It's not easy to be a hype man, Dylan, so I really appreciate the really good introduction. I've had kind of a weird life. I've been all over. I lived in Colorado for a little while. And has anybody ever heard of the Christian rock band called 1,000 Foot Crutch?
Yep.
Okay, couple of you. Not great. Christian rock as a genre, not great. But I was a youth pastor, and this church that I was connected to was putting on this big concert, and 1,000 Foot Crutch was headlining. And this pastor who was putting the whole thing on, he invited me and my youth group down to the event. And about 30 seconds before 1,000 Foot Crutch was supposed to get on stage, he said, "Brandon, come here." So I run over and he's like, "Hey, take these," and he hands me 6 T-shirts bundled in rubber bands. And he says, "I want you to run on stage, and I want you to just start chucking them into the crowd. Just hype everybody up." And we have sold out this concert in Denver. So there are hundreds and hundreds of people out there. And I'm really nervous. Like I said, it doesn't get easier. Imagine having like 30 seconds heads up and somebody's like, "Hey, run out here and go start throwing these." So I run out there. And as I get on stage, I realize 3 things. Number 1, there's like over 1,000 sets of eyes all on me. There's no hype man. I was supposed to be the hype man. And everybody's looking at me just like this. It's like, "What do you got for us?" The second thing I realized, I have 6 T-shirts for 1,000 people. So there are going to be some big letdowns. And number 3, I realize I am losing control of all bodily functions. Now, I will say, anything here below locked it down, held it together. But I've got 19 years of like throwing experience, and in that moment I lost all control of my fine motor skills. And I get out there and I've got like 5 T-shirts in my left arm, and I'm a righty, so I've got the first one prepped, just locked and loaded, and I go to try to like give it a nice lob out into the crowd and watch the peasants, just try to grab it. Just the satisfaction. It's kind of like a power trip, like, "Ha, you want what I got." But instead, I'm so nervous, I kind of held on for too long. And in the front row, I 100% laser this T-shirt, and I beam this little kid in a wheelchair. And to everybody in the crowd, you can't tell if somebody on a stage a mile away messes up the throw. It looked like I'm just a terrorist. Like I just came up, picked whoever I hated, and was like, "Him." BAM! And I got so nervous. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just hit a kid in a wheelchair." I sort of just like dumped the other T-shirts. I don't even think there's like the barrier. I don't even think it made it to the other part of the front row. I just threw the T-shirts on the ground and booked it out of there. some hype man, right? So Dylan, props. It is sometimes hard to hype up a crowd, especially if you're being in wheelchair kids. So, not my finest moment, man. I've been getting really into nutrition and fitness lately. This sleek form, believe it or not, is actually skinnier than it was 6 months ago. So I'm down like, thank you. That's overwhelming. So I'm down like 40 pounds, which is pretty cool. I knew it was time to start losing weight. My lower back was just always hurting, always tight. One day I was just laying on the couch and I was like, oh my goodness. My wife, she was home and I was just like complaining to her. I was like, honey, can you bring me something to help my back? She was like, yep, sure, I'll be right in. She didn't bring me ibuprofen. She brought me a bra. She was like, this'll help. She goes, this does it for me. She's just like, cinch it up. She's like, it really helps the ladies out. So, my ladies is what she was referencing. So I knew it was time to start losing weight, getting a little sleeker, and I've been into mountain biking for some time. Not as often as I should do mountain biking, but I started like probably 9 years ago mountain biking, and I did high school in the Denver area, and I did grow up here, but this was down in Colorado, and had just started mountain biking. Has anybody ever seen those like clips in your shoes where you like lock into the bike and you can't fall off no matter what you do? Actually not that great if you've just started mountain biking. And I'm on my way in this busy Denver suburb to the trails. And it is 5 p.m., which means it is rush hour. There are thousands of cars whizzing past me as I'm on the sidewalk. And I have just started mountain biking, and it's like a very specific kick to get out of this bike, and I have not yet mastered it. I always needed like a house or a person, and as I'm coming up to a red light where traffic is dead stop and hundreds of cars are whizzing by at like 60 miles an hour, I was like, I'm probably screwed. And so I'm coming up to this stoplight, and I'm just like, okay, start slowing down. God, please make this light green. God, please. He did not. And so I'm coming up to the stoplight, and I'm starting to do the dance, and I cannot kick my stinking foot out of these pedals, and I just realized at the last moment, it is too late, and I am still clipped into this bike, but my momentum will not carry me forward anymore, and at this busy Denver stoplight, I start to take. Big deal, you fall on the sidewalk in front of a bunch of people. Wouldn't be the end of the world, except for the fact that I had these really ratty shorts. My family, listen to your parents. They had been telling me for some years now to get rid of these shorts. They were so grungy, covered in paint from labor, and they had no drawstring. And that is the biggest issue, is no drawstring, because when you're falling and you realize that the seat of the bike is above your waistband and you're falling over, and as you realize you're falling, that the seat's below your waistband but your waist is above the seat, do the math in your head, and in front of a busy Denver street, I fall over full moon to traffic, bearing my secrets to anybody who may wish to take a look. I heard a little kid as I'm struggling, because mind you, I'm still strapped into this freaking bike, and I can't get out, and I'm just like doing this weird dance, and I hear this little kid with the window down, he's like, Mommy, what's that man doing? That poor Specialized. Oh my goodness, I couldn't get out of it. Finally, like a full light cycle later, I finally am able to get up, start covering what little dignity I have left, and ride off. And you know, that's pretty bad. I won't say that's not that bad. Sometimes we tell ourselves little white lies to make ourselves feel better, but there's no lying here. That's bad. But what's the worst about that is that's not the first time. Right? Now, the first time I at least was a little kid, right? Because like I said, I grew up here in Bismarck. Any fans of Raging Rivers in here? Okay, so they've got the two slides on the tall tower, the one that's just like straight down, just throwing kids possibly to their death. And then you got the other one that's just like it kind of bumps the whole way. I'm in like 4th grade, and I'm the bravest of my friends. My friends won't do it. Props to them because of what happens. And I hit the slide that bumps on the way down, and on the very last bump, I really don't know what happened. This is on Raging Rivers. I catch some air, and I turn first sideways, then head first, and then face down. And so on the very last bump of this water slide, I'm going down face first, and have you ever like hit the plastic dividers between each slide? Just like doesn't feel great. And I get to the end, and I stand up, probably concussed. Mind you, I'm in 4th grade. And by the expression on the lifeguard's face, teenage girl, of course, I can tell something ain't right. And I look at her, and I follow her gaze. And my swim trunks are around mine ankles. And not only are they around my ankles, but they're like wrapped up like a Chinese finger trap for my ankles. And they're wet. You ever tried to put a wet shirt on, or maybe you didn't dry your back so much, it's like, it just doesn't work? That's exactly what happens when your swim trunks are around your ankles already wet. And so I'm trying to get these up, and as a little kid, I got this perfect, like, Midwest mom voice. I don't know where I got the Midwest mom voice. Probably my Midwest mom. But I just got this Midwest mom voice when I was embarrassed, and I'm standing there, and this lifeguard, she's not even being cool about it, like looking away. She's just like staring directly at my soul. And she's just looking, and I'm just so embarrassed. I'm like, I just don't know what happened. It was wet, and there was speed and bumps, and I just don't know. I was going so fast, and the whole time I'm standing there holding up traffic at the top of the slide, and I'm bent over, and they're still down here, so anybody up top's peeping, and I cannot get these up. So finally, I'm just like, I gotta save something here, and I can't hold up traffic anymore, so I literally just like grab them, and I'm like, see ya. And I just like walk off into the bushes for like probably a minute and a half before I can get them unrolled and pulled back up. So those are some of my stories. Guys, that's all the time I have for you tonight. I'm going to turn things back over to Dylan. You guys were a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
Be careful, don't put your waistband on the keyboard. Bring it.